You wake up, grab your phone, open a food delivery app, and have breakfast arriving in 20 minutes. For almost all of human history, that would have sounded impossible. For more than 300,000 years, humans had no farms, no supermarkets, no refrigerators, and no guarantee they would eat that day at all. Every meal had to be found. Every calorie had to be earned from the landscape itself. And if food could not be found, people starved. So how did ancient humans actually gather food? Sunrise. You wake up to cold air and fading darkness. The fire beside the camp is still glowing faintly from the night before. Someone feeds it fresh wood. Children are still asleep beside their parents. You own almost nothing. Maybe a spear, maybe a digging stick, maybe a small pouch made from animal hide. Everything you need can be carried by hand. Around 25 to 40 people live in your camp. You know every face, every voice, and every story. There is no boss telling people where to go. Nobody punches into work, but everyone understands the same reality. Food must be found today. The camp slowly begins moving. Some people check footprints near the edge of camp. Others talk quietly about where berries were found yesterday. Someone remembers a tree nearby that may finally be fruiting. Ancient humans survived because they remembered landscapes in unbelievable detail. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers found that people could memorize enormous territories, water sources, animal trails, seasonal plants, dangerous areas, places where food appeared only for a few weeks each year. The human brain evolved inside this world, a world where memory kept you alive. Soon, the camp splits apart. The gatherers leave first. In many hunter-gatherer societies, women gathered most of the reliable daily food. This surprises many modern people. Movies usually focus on dramatic hunts, but anthropologists found that gathering often provided most of the camp's calories. Among the Fash Kung people of the Kalahari Desert, gathered food supplied the majority of the group's diet. The Hadza of Tanzania show similar patterns today. Gathering was steady. Hunting was uncertain. The gatherers leave in small groups, 3 women or 5 women, maybe a grandmother walking with them. Children follow behind carrying tiny baskets. Nobody formally teaches them, they learn by watching. A young child sees which berries adults avoid, which roots must be cooked first, or which trees produce fruit after heavy rain. This knowledge takes years to build. A skilled gatherer might recognize hundreds of edible plants, not just what they are, but when they grow, how they smell, where they hide, and how dangerous they become during droughts. Some plants could save your life. Others could kill you slowly. The tools are simple, digging sticks hardened by fire, stone blades, and woven baskets. But simple tools used with knowledge become incredibly powerful. Imagine a woman kneeling beside dry ground and beginning to dig. Underneath the dirt are tubers, thick underground roots full of calories and water. These foods mattered enormously. Many hunter-gatherers survived dry seasons because of roots hidden underground. Some took hours to dig out. Children watch carefully, knowing that one day they will need this knowledge too. Meanwhile, the hunters leave camp. There is no dramatic music, no guaranteed success. Real hunting was exhausting. Anthropologist Frank Marlowe found that Hadza hunters often returned home empty-handed, with many hunts failing completely. A hunter may spend the entire morning tracking hoof prints across hard ground. Sometimes the tracks disappear. Sometimes the animal catches their scent and vanishes. Sometimes another predator reaches it first. The hunters keep walking anyway. Humans are built strangely for endurance. Compared to most animals, we sweat heavily. We have long legs, strong tendons, and unusual stamina. Scientists believe ancient humans sometimes practiced persistence hunting. Instead of sprinting after prey like other predators, humans slowly exhausted animals over long distances. The animal overheated first. The humans kept going. Persistence hunts could last for hours under brutal heat. Ancient humans became one of the few predators on Earth that could literally run prey to exhaustion. But hunting carried enormous risks. A wounded animal fights back. Ancient hunters were injured constantly. Broken bones, deep cuts, infections. A single wound could become fatal before modern medicine existed. This is one reason humans hunted together. Teamwork increased survival. One hunter distracts the animal while another moves into position. One tracks blood trails while others circle ahead. Human cooperation became one of our greatest weapons. Not claws, not sharp teeth, coordination. And sometimes hunting looked completely different. Near rivers and coastlines, ancient humans gathered shellfish, crabs, seaweed, and fish. Archaeologists have discovered massive shell middens left by prehistoric people, enormous piles of discarded shells thousands of years old. Entire coastlines still contain evidence of repeated meals eaten beside ancient shores. Over time, fishing tools became more advanced: bone hooks, harpoons, nets woven from plant fibers. But for most of human history, food still came directly from whatever the surrounding landscape offered. Sometimes hunters searched for something even more valuable than meat: honey. Sweet foods were extremely rare in the ancient world, and honey contained enormous amounts of calories. The Hadza still climb dangerous trees today while enduring painful bee stings just to reach wild hives. And they are not always alone while searching. One bird called the honey guide actually leads humans to beehives. The bird calls out and flies from tree to tree while humans follow behind. After humans break open the hive, the bird feeds on leftover wax and larvae. Humans and birds may have cooperated this way for thousands of years, one species helping another find sugar in the middle of the wilderness. Mid-morning, the first gatherers begin finding food: berries, nuts, seeds, baobab fruit, wild greens, tubers hidden under dry soil. Gathering food meant constantly scanning the environment for tiny details modern people rarely notice anymore: broken branches, fresh animal droppings, buzzing insects near fruit trees, bird behavior, cloud patterns. Everything could contain useful information. Ancient humans lived inside the landscape so completely that the environment itself became a kind of language. Children slowly absorbed this knowledge from the adults around them. Anthropologist David Lancy studied traditional societies and found that children mostly learned through observation and participation. Adults rarely stopped to give long explanations. A child simply watched, copied, practiced, and slowly became useful. By 6 or 7 years old, many hunter-gatherer children already contributed meaningful food to the group. Human childhood was never designed around classrooms. For most of our existence, children learned survival directly from the world around them. Meanwhile, the hunters are still walking. Hours pass, the heat grows heavier. One hunter suddenly freezes after spotting movement in tall grass. Everyone stops instantly. The group slowly spreads outward. Heartbeats rise. One careless sound could scare the animal away completely. Then suddenly, movement. Spears fly. The animal bolts into the distance. Maybe they wound it. Maybe they miss entirely. Either way, the chase continues. This could go on for hours, and even after all that effort, the hunters may still return with nothing. That uncertainty shaped human psychology itself. For most of history, starvation was always nearby. Humans evolved craving sugar, fat, and salt because those things were once rare and precious. Your brain still behaves like food scarcity could happen tomorrow because for nearly all of human existence it could. Around midday, people begin returning to camp. Usually the gatherers arrive first carrying baskets filled with roots, berries, nuts, and wild plants collected from different parts of the landscape. Diversity mattered. If one food source failed, another might survive. That flexibility helped humans spread across deserts, forests, mountains, and frozen grasslands. The food gets placed beside the fire, and almost immediately, it gets shared. Sharing is not optional. A hunter who kills a large animal distributes the meat. Gatherers share plants with nearby families. Your survival depends entirely on relationships. If you refuse to share today, others may refuse to help you tomorrow. Generosity becomes a survival strategy. Afternoon. The heat slows everything down. People rest in the shade while others prepare food for cooking. Seeds are crushed with stones. Roots are peeled. Nuts are cracked open one by one. Some wild plants contain toxins that must be removed before eating. Cooking changes everything. Scientists believe fire allowed humans to absorb more calories from food, helping support the growth of the human brain itself. Nearby, children imitate adults constantly. One child pretends to hunt birds with a stick, while another practices digging roots beside older women. Human play has always been training. Late afternoon. The hunters finally return. Sometimes carrying meat, sometimes carrying nothing at all. A successful hunt changes the mood of the entire camp immediately. The meat is divided, the fires grow brighter, and stories begin passing between generations around the flames. This was normal human life for most of our existence. Not cities, not offices, not supermarkets. Humans spent hundreds of thousands of years tracking animals, digging roots, and searching landscapes for the next meal before their descendants eventually invented grocery stores with 40 brands of cereal under fluorescent lights.